Should we start by trying to find Sweden on a map? I think if we look here, up here, look, that says Sweden. So I think if we pretend to be the plane flying all the way from there to there, that's where we went, right? So can you talk about what it was like to fly to Sweden? Do you remember when we flew there for the first time?
I can't remember.
Do you remember what it was like to fly back to the UK?
The airplane landed on the sea.
Did it?
Yes.
I don't remember that. Do you remember we also flew here to Canada?
I remember.
To Toronto? Because that's where Daddy's from, right? So that was quite a long flight because we had to fly from there all the way over here. So what was different about Sweden from the UK?
That means Sweden.
Yeah, well, Sweden, I see it on the map. It says Sweden, so it's right there. And that's the UK. Should we sit down and just talk about some of these photos? So how did we used to go into town?
With a train.
And then?
A ferry.
Yeah. And do you remember where the ferry would take us?
Oh no, I can't remember where we were.
This is in Solsjöbaden, where we lived. We live near a harbour with many boats.
And when we go to the beach, it's too hot.
Do you remember
We got to see the Vasa. Let's see it.
Do you remember we walked around on the crow's nest? Because they pulled the Vasa up from the bottom of the ocean. I think we also have a story about that boat.
Vasa. I want to read it to tell them and see if they have the Vasa story.
And it starts a long time ago. Remember the King of Sweden? He wanted to make the greatest ship of all time. So he hired many people. And they found all the big trees in the forest.
My candy friends love reading long stories. And they're cutting trees.
Because what's inside? What do they use the trees for?
The Vasa.
For building, don't they?
Yeah.
So many people were working and they took these really big pieces of wood from the forests of Sweden around Stockholm. And now look. Looks like the Vasa's starting to take shape. And it was going to be the greatest vessel that the world had ever seen. And they made it in Stockholm, didn't they? And then on the day that it set sail for the very first time, it was a beautiful day and many people came out to watch as the Vasa set sail. The whole town. But there was also someone lurking over the hills.
The wind.
It was the wind. Do you remember what the wind did?
This.
What was it?
Blew her over.
Oh no. The wind blew the Vasa over on her first voyage.
And then she sank.
Ooh. And then where did she go?
Nowhere.
She just stayed at the bottom of the ocean, I guess. For hundreds and hundreds of years, she rested at the bottom of the ocean. Ooh, and she got quite dirty.
And she was so sad.
She was sad.
Yeah.
Because she was once a great vessel.
Yes, and she wants to see if she's sinking and getting lower.
Getting further and further under the sand. But then someone found her. Many years later, in 1956, two men looked down at the bottom of the ocean and they found the place where the Vasa was lying.
And they dropped it where they thought she was lying.
And then they pull her up from the bottom of the ocean.
Who?
Well, they use those big tugboats. But here, the picture makes it look like they're big, big people. But that's just pretend. But that's kind of a good way to think of it. They pulled her up to the top of the sea again.
And she stood up a black fingertip to say, "Here I come!"
What? Do you remember what these guys are doing?
What?
Sort of spraying her down to preserve her.
And the boo washing her pieces in bathtubs.
Yeah, they had to wash all the pieces.
In bathtubs.
Yeah. And they wanted to put all the pieces back together.
Why?
Well, so that they could put her in a museum. And then that's where we went, wasn't it? We went to see her in the museum.
And look, stairs. And people all over her. Look, people are all over her.
Many people came to see Vasa. Even we went a few times, didn't we? To go and visit.
The end. The end.
The end of the story. Do you remember when we went to see the Vasa?
No.